Okay, I've got to admit, I was wrong. I've been preaching for years to stop using the 3 questions during your daily scrums. There's so many better ways to run an effective daily scrum, like walking the board. But recently, I went back to these 3 questions, and honestly, it's going pretty well. This is what I will share in this video, why you should keep these 3 questions in your arsenal, and more importantly, how to use these 3 questions correctly during your daily scrums. First, we need to set the context as per the Scrum Guide 2020. The purpose of a daily scrum is to inspect progress towards the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary, adjusting the upcoming planned work. The developers can select whatever structure and techniques they want as long as their daily scrum focuses on progress towards the sprint goal and produces an actionable plan for the next day of work. This creates focus and improves self-management. Very clear, non-prescriptive. You can use any structure, any techniques you want as long as you're meeting the purpose, the goal of the daily scrum. And I know many teams that still use to this day the 3 questions. Here's an extract from the Scrum Guide, the previous version, 2017 version of the Scrum Guide. What did I do yesterday that helped the development team meet the sprint goal? What will I do today to help the development team meet the sprint goal? Do I see any impediment that prevents me or the development team from meeting the sprint goal? These are the 3 questions from the previous version of the Scrum Guide, removed from the latest version. The 2020 version no longer includes these 3 questions. But why? Well, there was a few problems. Initially, these 3 questions were added to the Scrum Guide to give an example of a good, effective structure that Scrum teams could use in their daily Scrum. But back in 2017, these 3 questions became extremely popular. 99% of Scrum teams were using these 3 questions to run their daily Scrum. You thought about the daily Scrum, you thought about these 3 questions. Even when not using Scrum, people were doing the daily stand-ups. They were answering these 3 questions. But some teams were misusing these 3 questions, again, depending on the environment. In environments where people are not trusting each other, these 3 questions turn the daily scrums into status report meetings. You're reporting what you did yesterday to your Scrum Master, to your product owner, to stakeholders. We are not really here to plan the day together. No, we just want to know who is doing what, which developers are working and which developers are slacking. And I also have a few issues with these 3 questions. I've attended a lot of daily scrums, and most of the time when people answer these 3 questions, the first one, what did I do yesterday? They talk too much. They were just rambling about what they did yesterday, talking about which meetings they joined. There's no structure. There's no goal. We are not meeting the purpose of the daily Scrum that we just read in the 2020 version of the Scrum Guide. They are just rambling, telling a beautiful story of what they did yesterday to make it seem like they worked a lot. That's the core issue. And each one of these developers is then trying to tell a better story than the previous developer. I've seen that in so many daily scrums. Never the intention of the 3 questions, but people are misusing the 3 questions. And the third question, impediment. Instead of raising the impediment and trying to plan who will be working on this impediment, who can help me unblock myself or resolve this impediment so that I can progress towards the sprint goal, we are trying to find a solution in the daily scrum. A daily scrum of 15 minutes. We are taking 15 minutes, 20 minutes to talk about one impediment. I've seen daily scrums go for 90 minutes. 90 minutes talking about so many impediments, trying to resolve the impediments during the meeting itself. And maybe this impediment concerns only 2 people in the team or 3 people in the team. They could have talked about that after the meeting, but no, we need to talk about that in the meeting. Doesn't make any sense. This was never the intention of these 3 questions. Now, despite all these issues, I still believe that these 3 questions can produce an effective daily scrum. Yeah, if used correctly. The first mistake I see: what did I do yesterday? What will I do today? Any impediments? Any blockers? There's a big, major part missing from these 3 questions. What about the sprint goal? Remember what we read in the Scrum Guide 2020. You can use any techniques, any structure, as long as you're inspecting progress towards the sprint goal and crafting, building an actionable plan for the day. How can we progress towards the sprint goal today? How can we achieve the sprint goal today together as a Scrum team? But when you ask the question, what did I do yesterday? Obviously, someone will ramble about what they did yesterday. No, this was never the intention. Go back to the beginning of this video. What did I do yesterday to help the development team meet the sprint goal? What will I do today to help the development team meet the sprint goal? The sprint goal is in the question. We don't care about what you did yesterday that doesn't involve a sprint goal. No, the sprint goal is the priority. Answer the question based on the sprint goal. You see how this simple rephrasing can instantly make your daily scrums more effective because you're bringing focus to the sprint goal. And obviously, when answering these 3 questions, a plan will be produced for the day. How can we progress towards the sprint goal? So what you need to do right now, go back to your team. Ensure first that your team is psychologically safe. They are in an environment where they can question the status quo, ask tough questions, challenge each other without the fear of being shamed, punished. They are in this kind of psychologically safe environment. If they are in this kind of environment, and second, everyone understands the goal, the purpose of the daily scrum, they agree with the goal and purpose, and they want to make the daily scrum effective. If you have these 2 things, then you can introduce these 3 questions. How they were intended to be asked. What did I do yesterday to help the development team meet the sprint goal? Because when you have these 2 things in place and someone is rambling about something that is unrelated to the sprint goal or solutioning when talking about impediments, someone else, as they are psychologically safe and they understand the goal of a daily scrum, they can just stop this person and tell them, just talk about that after the meeting. If these 2 things are not present, people don't understand the goal of a meeting, or they are not psychologically safe, obviously meetings will go more than 15 minutes. The event will go more than 15 minutes. People will start rambling about anything. So have these 2 things first in place. I would like to end this video by going back to why I believe these 3 questions are extremely powerful. Forces you to have an effective daily scrum if used correctly. The first question, the revealing question, what did I do yesterday to help the development team meet the sprint goal? It reveals a lot of anti-patterns. You start realizing that people were working on things unrelated to the sprint goal. Why are they working on these things? You start realizing that people are spending their days in meetings. Why are they going to these meetings? You realize that people are working 4 hours on doing something that their colleagues are doing in 15 minutes. I worked on something, took 4 hours to do. Then one of the other developers tells me, okay, I can help you. I usually do this task in 15 minutes. Collaboration, communication, revealing a lot of things. Second question, what will I do today to progress towards the sprint goal? This is the planning question. If answered correctly, you will automatically craft a plan for the day. The team will do that. You start realizing that different developers are planning to work on the same thing. You start realizing that some developer is blocked or has an impediment and is picking up a new task instead of coming to help me or resolving their impediment, increasing the work in progress. You start realizing that some developers are joining tons of meetings, unrelated meetings that they shouldn't go or shouldn't attend. You realize maybe that the product owner changed the requirement in the sprint, or stakeholder change the requirements in the sprint, or the priorities in the sprint, and developers are working on things unrelated to the sprint goal. This should not be tolerated. We planned together to work towards the sprint goal. The sprint backlog can change. Many things can change in the sprint, but the sprint goal should remain unchanged. We committed to complete the sprint goal. We should prioritize our work towards the sprint goal. When a developer is sharing what they did yesterday, you might realize that they didn't do much. You start asking questions and you realize that the developer can't explain why they didn't do much. This might be because the requirements were unclear. We don't even know what progressing towards the sprint goal mean. No clear definition of done. Revealing questions reveals tons of anti-patterns, and I guarantee that most Scrum teams never see these reveals because the question is asked without the sprint goal in it, or they are not in a psychologically safe environment, or people are micromanaging them, people don't trust them. All these things need to be present. A good, healthy working environment Then these 3 questions become powerful. The third question, impediment. Many people believe that impediments, blockers, same thing. No, not the same thing. A blocker, I'm completely blocked. I can't progress. I need to find someone to unblock the situation. I can't just pick up a new task because I'm increasing the work in progress. Maybe I can go help someone else or resolve my impediment or blocker, but don't pick up a new task. But an impediment is something preventing you from progressing towards the sprint goal. It might be slowing you down, not block you, but slow you down. Maybe your laptop is slow. It's working, your laptop. You can code, but you're coding slowly. It's preventing you. That's an impediment. Resolve this issue. You're getting requirements from a stakeholder. He's sending you or she's sending you the requirements, but it's very slow, or the format is not good. There's a lot of rework. Impediment. Resolve this impediment. Don't resolve it in the daily Scrum, obviously. That's solutioning. Just plan the work for the day or find someone in the daily Scrum to help you resolve this impediment. The 3 questions, extremely powerful if used correctly. Which brings me to my next point. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.